You say we run the banks. You say we run Hollywood. You say we control the media. You say we have too much influence, too much power, too much pride. But you never ask why. So let me tell you, we were banned from owning land, so we learned to make a living with our minds. While others built legacies on soil and serfdom, we built ours in scholarship and study. We became merchants, financiers, physicians, and philosophers. Not because we craved gold, but because the ground was never ours to till. We were denied entry into universities, so we opened our own schools and studied twice as hard. Our emphasis on education didn't arise from privilege, it arose from exclusion. In the shtetls of Eastern Europe and the ghettos of Western Europe, the Torah was our textbook, and Talmudic reasoning became our discipline. When others mocked us for being bookish, we turned the insult into armor. You pushed us into ghettos and restricted us from guilds and professions. So we turned to what was left: entertainment, garment work, trade, and storytelling. In America, barred from many respectable jobs, we went west and helped invent Hollywood, not to brainwash, but to dream, to create magic from nothing, to tell our stories because no one else would. You say we run the banks, but we never asked for that job either. In medieval Europe, the church banned Christians from lending money with interest, calling it a sin, usury. But kings and nobles still needed loans, and someone had to do the collecting. So they turned to the Jews, already considered impure, already despised. Tax collection, money lending, and finance were viewed as dirty work. So who better to assign it to than the dirty Jew? And so we became moneylenders, not by ambition, but by force. We were squeezed for every coin we could collect, and then, when the debts mounted or the crown no longer needed us, we were expelled, or worse. Our financial roles were used as justification for persecution, pogroms, and blood libels. Yet, we survived. We learned. We built an understanding of money because we had no other choice. And centuries later, you turned around and said, "Look how greedy they are." You say we stole the land from others, but you forget where we came from. Jews lived across the Arab and Muslim world for centuries, not as equals, but as dhimmis, second-class citizens, tolerated, not accepted, protected, but humiliated. We had to pay special taxes just to exist. We weren't allowed to build homes taller than those of our Muslim neighbors. We had to step aside in the streets, lower our gaze, and never ever forget our place. Sometimes we were left in peace. Other times, our synagogues were torched, our women assaulted, our children taken, our lives uprooted. And when the State of Israel was born, nearly 1 million Jews were expelled or forced to flee from Arab lands, stripped of their property, their citizenship, and their dignity. From Baghdad to Cairo, from Tripoli to Damascus, Jewish communities that had lasted for millennia vanished almost overnight. No United Nations agency was created for those Jewish refugees. No global right of return was demanded. We didn't hang our trauma like a weapon. We used it to build. Many of the Mizrahi Jews you see in Israel today are the grandchildren of those who lost everything, but finally found something greater, a home that would fight for them. You say we're tribal, but you forget that we tried to integrate. We tried to blend in. We changed our names, straightened our curls, even abandoned our faith. But no matter how much we tried, you reminded us we were Jews. So we turned inward and leaned on each other. We built communities where we were locked out, synagogues where we were barred from churches, hospitals when we weren't welcome in yours, organizations to defend ourselves when no one else would. You say we're too successful, but success was our only security. When pogroms came, we needed money to flee. When quotas blocked our children, we needed influence to open doors. When no nation would have us, we built our own, Israel, so we'd never again rely on the mercy of foreign powers. We are accused of dual loyalty. But loyalty to what? To a world that burned us or stood by while we burned? Our loyalty is to each other because History taught us that no one else would be. You hate that Israel exists, not because of its policies, not because of land. You hated us before 1948, before a single border was drawn. What you hate is that the Jew now has power, a standing army, a government, a home. You preferred us weak, wandering, dependent on your pity, or your permission to live. Israel is the ultimate Jewish response to 2,000 years of homelessness, humiliation, and massacre. You hate that we don't ask permission anymore, that we don't wait for the world's sympathy to defend ourselves. You hate that we build, we innovate, we revive ancient languages and make deserts bloom. You hate that Jewish self-determination is real and thriving and permanent. And here's what scares you the most. Israel is not a reaction to the Holocaust. It is the insurance policy against the next one. It is the place where never again isn't just a slogan. It's a security doctrine. It's F-16, Iron Dome, and boys and girls in olive green who won't go quietly. You hate that Israel exists because it means the Jew is no longer at your mercy, and you hate that Israel is strong. But what did you expect? That the people you scattered, ghettoized, and slaughtered would build a weak country? That a nation born from Holocaust ashes would vow never again and not mean it? You hate that Zionism has been the most successful decolonization project, perhaps ever. While nations all over the world were casting off foreign rule, one ancient people did the impossible. We returned home after 2,000 years in exile, not to conquer someone else's land, but to reclaim our own. Zionism was never about imperialism. It was about ending the longest colonization in history, the displacement of Jews from their indigenous homeland. We are indigenous to the land of Israel. Our language was born there. Our prophets walked there. Our ancestors prayed there, facing Jerusalem, not Paris, not Warsaw. We didn't colonize the land, we revived it. We built a state not on conquest, but on return. And we did it while surrounded by enemies, embargoed by the world, and mourning our murdered millions. You celebrate decolonization until the Jew does it. You want every people to rise, except us. And then came October 7th. You showed us, again, exactly why we need Israel. You showed us what happens when Jews are vulnerable, what happens when we let our guard down, what happens when we believe that hatred has an expiration date. On October 7th, the mask fell. Hamas didn't target soldiers. They targeted babies, grandmothers, festival goers, peace activists, Holocaust survivors. They raped, mutilated, burned, and broadcasted it to the world. And while we searched for our kidnapped children and buried our dead, the world gathered to chant, not against terror, but against us. You held up signs that said, "By any means necessary." You justified the slaughter with words like resistance. You turned our grief into your celebration. October 7th wasn't just a massacre, it was a revelation. It reminded us that no amount of assimilation, no level of success, no Nobel Prizes, no peace treaties, and no hashtags will protect us if we cannot protect ourselves. We now live in a post-October 7th world, a world where Jews are done apologizing, done seeking your approval, done believing that if we just explain ourselves better, you'll stop hating us. We now know, without a doubt, that the world's memory is short, but ours is long. We are a people who carry both trauma and tenacity. We are the children of refugees who became warriors, the descendants of Holocaust survivors who became state builders, the grandchildren of exiles who came home. You tried to destroy us on October 7th. Instead, you reminded us who we are. Here's the irony you refuse to see. It was your hatred that made us this way. You forced us out of your professions, so we mastered the ones you didn't want. You shut us out of your elite institutions, so we built better ones. You isolated us, so we built our own networks. You called us weak, so we became strong. You wanted us poor and powerless, and in trying to keep us there, you gave us every reason to rise. Antisemitism didn't stop Jewish success, it caused it. You wanted us out of your world. We built a new one. And now you complain it's thriving. So, yes, we are proud. Yes, we are successful. Yes, we are influential. But none of it came easy. Every Jewish triumph stands atop centuries of exile, scapegoating, genocide, and resilience. We became strong because you gave us no other choice. You made us into the people you now resent, and we're not sorry.